Good morning, legends. How are we? Took a few minutes for some people to come in here. I thought I had something set up wrong. But we are awaiting Trump's decision. Trump has just tweeted, or X'd, whatever you'd like to call it, this. So give me a couple of minutes and then we'll start going over what has occurred. I only woke up about 5 minutes ago. So I've just got to look over what has actually happened over the past 7 hours as well. But it does look like, one thing I do know is that the IDF, the Israelis have said there are ballistic missiles away and there are impacts in Tel Aviv currently. So we will see. Just give us a couple of minutes. Just got to post this in the Telegram. Right. Forever war could very well be. Right, let me just go back onto here. Need to just have a look at some of the pages. So Trump, he's tweeting out that unconditional surrender, people are awaiting, unless you've seen it before we are awaiting a Trump decision regarding Iran. So firstly, Peter Cook, thank you on the PayPal. Trump tweeting things like this. You know exactly where the so-called Supreme Leader is hiding. He's an easy target, but he's safe there. We're not going to take him out, at least not for now. We do not want missiles shot at civilians or American soldiers. Our patience is wearing thin. Thank you for your attention on this matter. So what do we think? Do we think that there's going to be American strikes today? We did see, as I came off last night, that there was a number of strikes into Tel Aviv and into other areas too, just as I logged off. So I've just got to open up a couple of pages to make sure I'm catching up on whatever has then occurred. Hope you got some rest. Yes, I did. I got up a little bit later. Yeah, what do we think about Trump's decision in this? So, as we can see, there is major attack underway at the moment. And there are some pages who are saying that there are 5 attacks. This one says 5. I'm just going to look on my phone because there's some Telegram groups sharing some of this. Fires burning in Tel Aviv. 5 impacts are being reported. Let me have a look. So, Iran's still able at this point to get missiles away. So if there's anything specific you think that I've missed, please let me know. So here's some footage right now. I'm presuming this is over Tel Aviv. We have both strikes and interceptions. You can see breakup too. Like what I got told was a lot of what we see like here, this isn't interception. This is breakup of one of these missiles due to being like a Franken missile, ballistic, but not meant to go that far. So they've then redone it with a concrete warhead, but basically to tie up AD. Eden's mind, about goddamn time, Willie. I can't find any decent lives without kissing J-Boy's ass. Anyway, yeah, okay. Mate, yeah, we'll just go live. We'll talk about the situation. We'll see what's going on. Now, legends, we have 830 people, but 100 likes. So please just hit like because that helps us out move our way up the algorithm to get past the ass-kissing streams. But currently we know there's a big barrage going on over Israel. And I'm just going to look. Telegram. Right, let's look what Middle Eastern Spectator says. Right, we're expecting more footage to come through soon. And there are some there's another malfunction of an interceptor, and then there has been some direct impacts in Iran too. So it's going to be very interesting to see what the US actually do, and then how the US public actually react to this. I think a lot of the US public, they're not siding with Iran. They're not pro-Iran, but they are sick to death of war. And after the past 18 months, they're not pro-Israel. I think a lot of the American public, and I've spoken to some people who, it's always interesting to speak to someone who's outside of this circle, if that makes sense. So like, remember, if you're watching this stream and I'm talking about this stream, you and I are in the top few percent of people interested in this. Most people are not. But from talking just to some friends of mine who are not interested at all, they're just like, well, if they've started a war of which they don't have the weapons to win, that's not my problem. And I think a lot of people are going to have that opinion. I think a lot of people, even in more closer to it, like us, a lot of people have that opinion as well. And that should be spoken about more, that Israel has started striking facilities of what they alone don't have the weapons to strike. And we know Tulsi Gabbard, she said that they were years away from a missile from US intel, or not looking to do that at all. So I don't want Iran with nuclear weapons, but at the same time, I think we need to apply standards equally, and also listen to the public of countries that are going to be supporting this. So open source intel says Trump spoke with Netanyahu recently. So leaders talking. We'll see what else he starts tweeting as well. So does he use his Twitter? Because sometimes he does and sometimes he doesn't. So now he's tweeting things like this. We now have complete total control of the skies of Iran. Iran had good sky trackers and other defensive equipment, plenty of it, but it doesn't compare to American-made, conceived and manufactured stuff. Nobody does it better than the good old USA. So why is it we? So again, I do think that he's about to step in. This will end up with Trump in prison, mate. I don't think he's breaking any laws here, but it's going to end up, well, it has already started with his whole audience divided on this. Because his audience is unbelievably divided. Trump uses Truth Social, yeah, but I think this is his too. This must be. Keith Kellogg follows it, 102 million followers. I will endeavour to find if there's any more footage coming out of these strikes in Tel Aviv at the moment. This is more what we have at the moment. Right, let me have a look. So this fire that you're seeing, I believe this is from a failed interceptor. So you can see how it sort of loops back like this. It seems like it's gone up, got confused, and come back down. Trump uses Twitter only for important things. Okay, thanks, Josh. Right, let me have a look, see what is happening. I haven't even looked at what's occurring overnight yet. I haven't had the chance. Marky Guetti says this war will be over in less than 8 or more days. Well, let's hope so. Let's hope, because the last thing we need is another 20-year, $9 trillion battle on our hands. Right. Some of the Israeli pages I follow saying very loud explosions. So that can be both interceptions and strikes. If you've ever been near air defense, I've been right next to I didn't know I was next to it. I was in an area in Kharkiv in Ukraine, and I didn't know the building I was in was next to an S-300 launcher. And when the launch goes up, it's unbelievably loud. That sounds like an explosion in itself. Verson Jeanville says, always appreciate your balanced commentary, mate. It's urgently needed in times like this to help us better understand what's happening in the world today. Thank you, bro. Yeah, I try and be as balanced as possible. And last night, once I got off the stream yesterday, I just felt so uneasy about this whole situation. This whole thing makes me feel uneasy. And this is the thing, and this is what I say all the time with this, is you do not have to be binary in how you see this, guys. You can say, I think everyone is operating outside of what we would like it to happen. You can say, I think that Iran is operating outside of their original signatures on the IAEA and the enrichment of uranium, as well as why is it 100 meters in bunkers and you're there screaming and chanting about death to America. You can say all of that, and I don't agree with any of that. But then you can also say, yeah, but I also don't agree with like the strike we saw down in Gaza yesterday that killed like 50 civilians and there was just bodies strewn everywhere. If you saw horrible footage, absolutely horrible that footage came out yesterday, as well as striking these facilities during negotiations and then beginning this without the systems to finish it, reliant on another country and another country's boys and money to step in and finish the job. You can say, this is a horrible thing. And you can say that it isn't binary, that I'm not happy with any of this. And that's where I sit. I think I think most people actually sit there. Angelina, thank you, brother. Appreciate that. Thanks for becoming a Mega Willy member. So, yeah, a lot of this feels uneasy to me. And as I said yesterday, I don't actually believe that there's any, I don't believe the majority of people are evil, but I believe there's a lot of conditions which make people do evil things. Ilya says Willy non-binary confirmed. Oops, sorry, clicked out of something. I'm just going to go back to Trump, see if he's tweeting out anything else. No. Ausint Defender, Open Source Int, he has reported tonight's Israeli leadership meeting was the longest since the war had begun. Netanyahu spoke with President Trump. So, long meeting going down between Israeli and American leaders. So, long meeting with American leaders. What did John Mearsheimer say? It doesn't matter who you vote for, you get Netanyahu anyway. UTIS says all Iranian nuclear facilities are inspected by the IAEA, and they have the legal right under the non-liberation treaty to enrich uranium where they have. UTIS, thank you for your donation. As far as I'm aware, Iran is a signatory to then the NPT, but hasn't really been following the inspection guidelines and standards since, I believe, early 2000s. But on that same, if we're going to apply equal standards, we do know that Israel has an undeclared nuclear arsenal with 0 inspections, and the one pushing for the inspections, as far as I'm aware, was JFK, and JFK ended up on the footpath. So let's see, this is fire from, the interceptor failing. Which happens, this happens. It happens to the best systems in the world. We saw it happen the other day where that either David Sling or Thad, as a taxpayer, well, I'm not a US tax, actually I am a US taxpayer, I pay a bit of US tax. Hopefully it wasn't a Thad because it's a $13 million missile into a $1 billion system. We saw one fail the other day and strike itself. Absolutely, that can happen. Now, legends, remember to press like if you want to help me out as I wade into the absolute shit fight of trying to add nuance to what's happening here. Someone says when Israel open up inspection to inspection to its nuclear program, they can preach better on. Trump should be saying that. Trump should not be in there ass kissing. He should go, well, the problem here on the table is it is a nuclear program that you are telling us they want to make nuclear weapons of another state. Okay? We as the US, we don't want them to have nuclear weapons. This is what Trump should be saying. Okay? But we then also need to have international inspections of your systems because it's been 60 years with none of that. Maddie says, what do you know about the USS Liberty Incident? No more than, I guess, the average punter in here, that during the, what was it? Was it late 60s? That there was strikes from Israeli fighters on a US spy ship. Killed, I believe, 24, injured like 100, and massively covered up according to the crew. Okay, UTIS says, no, you are not correct. Until recently, the IAEA was held that Iran was compliant and only recently found out they were not based on a 20-year-old radiation found at one site. Okay. Apologies, UTIS. I didn't know that part. I thought that some of the inspection cameras in some of the Iranian facilities were covered and they couldn't actually inspect. Popo, thank you for the donation as well. Iran state media says will hold a surprise for the world. We'll remember for centuries. So remember, there is still chance that Iran has a weapon. And what people need to understand too, and the line just gets blurred and the goalpost moved, is criticism is not anti-Semitism. You're just replaying that Seinfeld episode where everything is anti-Semitic from Jerry's uncle. Right, I'm just seeing if there's any more footage has come out at the minute. Just refreshing everything. Right. Alice says, as an expat living in the EU, you're a great resource for me to understand what's happening in the world. Thank you, Alice. I really appreciate that. Thanks for being here and sticking around. Someone says, what stops Pakistan selling Iran a nuke? I actually don't know how that would work, but I'm guessing it's in the NPT and the IAEA that you can't. But the thing is, there's a difference between like what does the law say and nuclear powers and what they can then do. Live, laugh, Jordan. Thank you. I've been following your work for almost 10 years. Really, thanks for what you do. Hoping you're feeling good. My girlfriend was recently diagnosed with brain cancer, and your stories give us hope. Mate, thank you for being around for that long, man. That's wild. I really appreciate that, man. And I'm very sorry to hear the bad news around your partner's diagnosis. Please keep in touch if you need, man. Right, so we don't have anything yet regarding the meeting between Israel and America. But apparently it's been the longest meeting. Let me have a look on some Twitter pages that follow maybe a bit closer. Eater's Mind says, I'm at the point where I think if Iran doesn't have a nuke, Pakistan will give them one for plausible deniability. No one is talking about massive supply movement. Thank you, Eden's Mine. I actually haven't seen any massive supply from Pakistan to Iran. It doesn't mean that it's not happening. I should just say I haven't seen it. Maybe that's because no one's talking about it. Have you seen the missile strikes on Mossad HQ? Yes, I did. Let me have a look. I did see this yesterday. This was as I logged off yesterday. It went up. I'll find this in a second. That's not the one. Oh, that's not it. Oh, shit, which pages have it? Give me a second, I'll find it. But this is what, the 6th night of strikes? Why aren't pages not sharing that? Maddie says, I wish I could say more. You're the best. Thank you, Maddie, mate. I appreciate that. Leon, thank you for your donation in shekels. From Tel Aviv, we had missiles around here not long ago. Yes, we saw that, mate. Thanks for being here. I hope that you are not out on the streets like some trying to just get a viral video. Why can I not find the most... My God, X or Twitter, wherever it is now. God, it sucks, man. It's just Elon's tweets, even if you don't follow him, and just ads and crappy, like, 5-minute craft videos. Twitter sucks. Oh. But it's the only place where there's, like, actual open Aussie other than Telegram. Okay, I can't find the footage. I will. Yeah, the coffee grinder. That's my partner making coffee. If you can hear a coffee grinder. She's about to go to work and I'm already working here. So ballistic missile impact in Tel Aviv. Angela says, Anquila on telly, good source. Okay, thank you, Angela. On Telegram, I'm guessing. Let me find something. British Seagull. Thank you. Says, thank you, Willie. Would you mind sharing some Telegram channels you actively follow? Cheers. Yeah, mate, I follow an absolute heap. So I think some of the best to get sort of an all-round perspective is I follow like AMK Mapping, Swords of Steel, which is an Israeli one, Calibrated, Middle East Spectator. I follow the IDF. What else? I follow the Cradle. So these are like absolute both sides of the column to try and line things up. I've got a hair on my nose. Oh, here we go. This is the video you were speaking about. So this is strikes near the Mossad headquarters. This was yesterday, about 16 or 18 hours ago. Yeah, there are big fires in Tel Aviv currently. Sorry, I just had to mute myself. I heard the coffee grinder and thought maybe this is my opportunity to get Lily to make me a coffee. Dongol says, what are the odds of the war in Ukraine? And now this kicked off a nuclear arms race. Most international treaties got trampled. Now everyone is talking nukes. Hey, Dongle, thank you, mate. So there's not going to be a nuclear arms race between America and Russia. They've got enough. They know they've got enough. And then they know that they can't intercept each other's. So that's not going to happen. But what you touch on, Dongle, which is something I actually wrote in my, about 12 months ago, I put as a prediction, is that we will see a nuclear arms race from a lot of minor countries, because they will look at what realistically is our deterrence, what realistically is our latent military power, and how confident are we in our allies that they're going to come to our help. Say, Australia, how confident are we that if China just go all out on Australia, how confident are we that America will come to our aid, realistically? You know, at the end of the day, it is a signature on a bit of paper that says that they will. And if there's all-out conflict, so, and a lot of European states are in this, that I think a lot of states are going to throw those treaties out the window. Bukaki says, again, hopefully you'll be live for my entire night shift, like again yesterday. I don't think I'll be alive. I won't be live that long. I don't know. I'll see if things start happening. Ridiculous says you should sell some clever Oofgate merch from the inside jokes. Also, your transformation is inspiring. I still remember the thick willy not that long ago. Yeah, man, I went on a weight loss thing and I've lost a heap. The Oofgate happened. We had no idea what was going on the stream. So there's an interceptor failing. How's that? Office delivery boys. Right. Right. If you're not here, remember, bump us up the algorithm, press like, leave a comment. That'll sort us out. Shaskar says she's a keeper. Absolutely, getting treated too well. But I was desperate for a coffee, as I've been in all of these streams. I don't like to have coffee directly after waking up, but getting straight into this, because, yeah, it's killing me. Right, let's see if there's any more footage coming out. Bullish Seagull says, for TLS, China sending replacement rockets or launches. Bullish Seagull, I don't know. I don't know what. We have no idea. We know there's been multiple Chinese aircraft fly with their transponders turned off, which military aircraft can do, and land in Iran. What was on those, we have absolutely no idea. One thing we do know is some of those Chinese missiles did get through a lot of the Indian air defense as well. So we do know, someone will remind me what that missile was called in the chat, but we did see one of the biggest things. So that very short, I'll call it skirmish between India and Pakistan following that terror attack that happened in the contested areas. The biggest thing that we got out of that, the biggest thing as me as an analyst got out of that, was this idea that the Chinese weapons are useless and hopeless. That's not right, because we know J-10 aircraft performed very well. Potentially J-10 even potentially shot down at Rafale. And if you're wondering how China got plans for the J-10, Apparently, there's a lot of people who say one of the nations participating in this conflict that we're looking at today may have handed off and sold those. So people saying the J10, now the PL-15, but air-to-air. Yes. But what I'm getting at is it's not just junk like people will say. I was talking to a gentleman in the working in the military industrial capacity. He's one of my best mates the other day about this, and he said like he actually used the same example as I. He said the Chinese stuff used to be junk, but not anymore. Look at Chinese cars. Look at those old Great Wall cars, and then look at the modern BYDs, and look at how much they can just pump out. And someone says China has really good land-based missiles. I bet they do. It makes a lot of sense for China to put in a massive amount of effort into having medium-range missile. It makes absolute sense for that, being where they are and knowing where they might be launching attacks or defending. Sorry, just replying to someone. DF-21, that sounds right. RAF tankers flying over Jordan. Yeah, I bet. DJI is the most sophisticated manufacturer of drones and cameras for a long time. Yeah, for sure. That's what Charles says. And that is true. Everyone's like, oh, Chinese technology sucks, but refuses to look at drones. No other drone manufacturer is close to that at that price. I know for a fact that the militaries are looking for other drones other than DJIs, and they end up costing like $100,000 instead of like $2 million, and they're worse. Right, what am I getting through here? Apparently no statements planned following National Security Council meeting at the White House. Dongol. Can someone tell me what currency is RSD? I think you're right. If something the size of Iran can get ganked like this, similar sized players should take note. Does that cascade into small players doing the same? Thank you, Willie, you legend. Dongol, yes, absolutely. And Dongol, I've said multiple times that if, say Australia, we're a pretty small player, realistically. Australia has a lot of influence due to our resources, our natural resources. But as far as an actual player on the world scale, we have 26 million people. Realistically, it's pretty difficult for us to hold back anything. So if I was the dictator of Australia or chief of defence, I'd be going, I seriously want nuclear systems. I want ultimate deterrence capacity. Serbian. Okay, mate. I hope that you're well. And every single FPV drone, whether Israeli, Ukrainian, Russian, it's all Chinese parts. It's all Chinese parts. Someone says missiles incoming. Okay, it's just been... Okay, IDF official says ballistic launch has been identified. Right, central Israel again. Shit, where was that? There was a message I wanted to read to you guys. Yep, here we go. Lindsey Graham, can you shut up, you fucking loser? Eden's Mind. Look at pro-Palestinian accounts for far better showing strikes and Iran supply movement from Pakistan to China. I can't say the names, but YouTube censor and say, okay, Eden's Mind, thank you. I'll have a look. Yeah, I'd be very interested to see what is getting moved around. Now, guys, we have over 2,000 more viewers than we do likers. So just little thumbs up down the bottom. Right. Ballistic launches from Iran, flying to central Israel, Tel Aviv, Jerusalem. So 6 minutes, or 5 minutes now. Yeah, I think everyone doesn't like Lindsey Graham. He's insane. And you see this with you see this with like his stance on Ukraine. It's just completely flip flop on stuff, and you're like, mate, you're a demon. Can anyone look up what he's invested in? This gentleman here, Mr. Manza, I always wondered why Russia did not just buy DJI. They might not be able to buy it. I'm not sure if DJI is a publicly traded company, and if anything in, well, the Russian government would have enough money, but if any private entity would actually want to buy it, and Russia probably can't make it for as cheap as DJI, they'd probably just have a deal getting them. I heard back in the day when the Russians were storming Bakhmut, I was told from a very good source that that the Russians were working with the Chinese to set up things around DJI there. I can't confirm that, but that is what I was told. Right. No statements planned following National Security Council meeting from the White House. No statements are expected. Officials, nothing by the president. There's no confirmation yet of the conversation. They expect Trump to make statements about the possible entry of the US into Iran. Netanyahu's meeting with ministers and heads of security has been going on for more than 2 hours. So then this page says, personally, I think Trump is going to war and there's going to be no announcement until the attack is underway. Yeah, so what do we think? Do we think that the attack will begin and then we will see the US announce it? Someone says state-owned business can be cheap product, high output. That is one of the reasons we see some of these companies be able to pump out mass amount of equipment for cheap. This is one of the reasons, and this is making me sound like a goddamn commie, but I'm not. I'm a massive capitalist. Why do you think I beg for donations on the stream every day? But that is what you get with state-owned business. And I have a few people who have said this about military-industrial complexes, is they go, if you ask Rheinmetall to double the amount of shells that they are making, the price will end up triple because they have to build new factories, they have to hire new people. But then they also have to say, well, how long are you going to require double? Because what if in 24 months we give you enough and then you say, yep, okay, we want back to the normal amount, and then we have to lay off a heap of people and we're left with the factory and all of this. Where state-owned business, it's easy for them to step in, mobilise and be like, right, you, car factory, are now just making shells and the shells only cost this much. And then that's what happens. Harris says, watching with the boys from Singo. What a bunch of sick lads. I hope that you boys are doing really well. What day is it here at Singo? Mate, if I can go do PT, you dogs. And if you see Corporal Trost, tell him he's a lid from me. Don't let him push you around. Mr. Rayner says Bush didn't invade Iran because their deterrence has always been the Strait of Hormuz. I think the crisis is Israeli hit that bad and Wall Street is blocking neocons. Bond market will crash. I don't know about the bond market at all, but I guess we will see. Sirens on Tel Aviv open source intelligence cameras. Okay, no worries. Let's have a look and then we'll see if anything starts going bang. The boys from Singo, they're probably thinking they're getting a trip out of this. If you want me to crush your dreams, you're not. For those unaware, Singleton is Australia's School of Infantry. It's where after your basic training, you then go and actually become a soldier. So you do your basic training and you're like, oh yeah, sweet, I don't know what I'm doing. And then the boys go to Singo and just become actual fucking hitters. Proud of you boys though. Right. Look, so just in, Trump has said, we must take responsibility for saving the world from great evil. I think many people will go, yeah, we need to save the world from great evil as well. Sorry, I've got sleep in my eyes. Let's go to Mr. AMK mapping and see what is happening. Alexander says, World War III because of Jays seems ironic. It's the way it would happen, bro. Right, impacts over Tel Aviv. We'll get footage in a bit. I'm sure we'll start seeing footage. Skirtle says, good morning, Mr. Monster Willie. Thank you. Thank you, mate. I'll take that. Mr. Large White Monster Willie. Interceptions over Tel Aviv. Um, 22nd gone mad. I want to save the world, marketing genius. Maybe so. Maybe so. Let's see. Has Big Don tweeted anything? Is it not? I don't know the correct channels to get things through. I don't know what would be the correct channel, but when you get a tweet about war, that just seems a bit cheap to me, doesn't it? Does it not? Like, Churchill wouldn't have used Twitter. Imagine if we had the Second World War now and you've got these figures. Imagine if you've got imagine through history. Imagine you've got your Roosevelts and Stalins and Churchills and Mao and whatever just on Twitter, just tweeting at each other. Fucking what? Oil is almost at its high that we saw. Well, it's actually, is it above what we saw in this? So oil is back up, at least Brent at $76.99, so $77. Mr. Rayner says, we've been close to war with Iran like 12 times. Something blocks it every time. Probably the Fed or Wall Street. The entire conflict has felt very strange, like a fake wrestling match. I agree. It does feel weird. It feels cheap. It feels forced. But we will see. Oh yeah, I'm not trying to say these guys didn't do evil stuff, but I'd like to think that the statesmen themselves wouldn't have just been tweeting out. So the Supreme Commander of Iran has just tweeted this, apparently, and this says the battle begins. Chris Elliott says Trump hates nothing more than being unpopular. I've fucked something up on the thing. And I actually agree, Chris. That's a really good observation, that Trump hates being unpopular. And I wonder if he knows how unpopular the decision he's probably about to make is actually going to be. I think it's going to be catastrophically unpopular. Lukewarm says, can you put up the PayPal details legend? Yes, sorry, mate. I actually added the wrong thing in the linked comment. So, as Lukewarm pointed out, and I stuffed up, I didn't put the PayPal thing in. So if you'd like to support me through that, which is the direct means of support, what means YouTube doesn't take a 40% cut, the PayPal link is right up there. Nor do I have to wait 6 weeks for it. Lukewarm, thank you, as well as Chris, thank you, and Agent Ruski, thank you for becoming a mini Willy, and Gobotron for being mini Willy as well. So let's have a look and see what is going on currently, because we know that there is interceptions over Tel Aviv at the moment. One of my biggest concerns is just how long these air defense can actually last over Israel. At the end of the day, this stuff, Israel's not some massive industrial power, and they're the ones that make David Sling and the what's called Iron Dome, and The other ones like THAAD, I believe THAAD they can make. I believe the Americans, correct me if I'm wrong on this, please, in the thing. I believe that that America can only make 50 to 75 THAAD interceptors a year. I think that's right. We've seen at least 20 used already. Does YouTube take a cut from subscriptions? Yes, YouTube takes I believe 40% cut on everything, or 30% maybe. So either 30 or 40% cut they take on absolutely everything. And then I pay tax. So say then I pay 30% tax on that. So yeah, I get smashed. Teferi Uwu, 271,000 coincidences are far too many for me. Okay, thank you, Tefuri. 30%, okay. And Arrow didn't malfunction, got taken out by a FPV. Okay, I don't know. Eden's Mind, thank you for the super, has said, I feel like we will see how many missiles Iran has and how powerful once the USA enters. You would need to keep in mind all of their weapons will be focused on NATO and puppet nations like Saudi UAE. Same with the SAM being saved for real war, but I don't know. Well, this could be, as Edenmine points out, this could be part of it, is maybe that the Iranian leaders, both Iran and then within the IRGC too, have gone, we think the US is going to enter this, let's hold back a little bit until they do and then go full on. Again, we don't know. We don't know the situation of their launches at the moment. Iran probably still has tens of thousands of missiles, where they've fired about 400 all up. There's probably been a few thousand destroyed, but there's going to be a lot more. But the problem's going to be the actual launching platforms of them. Paramaz, thank you for becoming a mini Willy as well. Philip Marriott says, thank the lives from Lukewarm. Okay, thank you, Lukewarm, brother. Appreciate you very much, and appreciate you actually fixing the error I made in the pinned comment, man, as well as Artis Apelius. He has donated, quote, for a nice steak and eggs. As you may be aware, I'm on a strict keto diet, trying to starve off the tumor that's growing in my head below this bloody thing. So strict keto, all I eat is meat and eggs. And as you can be aware, in a cost of living crisis, meat and eggs is a hell of a thing. It's ridiculous. Every time I go shopping, I'm like, ugh. And I'm trying to buy good quality meat. Right. Tefuru says, the Teferi watching you get at the joke. Yes, I got the joke. Right. Oh, sorry, I was refreshing the page. Dude, why is Twitter sometimes not in chronological order? Like now the newest stuff I'm seeing is several hours ago. Now I've refreshed it. Now it's new. Now, bruh. Nothing frustrates me more than just like websites that should be simple that don't work. I was on the emails back and forward to one of my... I have like an email, a YouTube manager, so to speak. Realistically, it sounds cooler than it is. It doesn't do anything. Anyway, there was like a really basic problem with my videos deleting comments, and it was like frustration because they were like, "I'll try to literally turn it on and off again." And what then I said, no, sorry, it wasn't that. It was with subscriptions. People that have notifications on not getting notifications. And what they told me was, tell your subscribers to turn that on and off again. And my email back was like, I just looked up, like, YouTube makes like fucking $100 billion a year and this can't be fixed. Like, what? Someone says eating Australian Wagyu. Yes. In my opinion, Australian Wagyu is the best in the world. And I think there'd be many agree with myself. Studio Runner says, we all know that the Fed says no war, then no war. I don't think the US will enter. All I know is Powell has more authority than Trump. And this is one of the things, is the US markets will take a hit on this, but oil will skyrocket. As you're looking at here, this is Brent. Oil may skyrocket if the US enter too. And the threat of the Strait of Hormuz. And as well, if oil skyrockets, yes, the US make a lot of money off oil, but it also means that people are paying a lot more at the bowser. And this was some of the promises from Trump, is that fuel will be cheaper, food will be cheaper, and there's no more war. And a lot of people are not going to be happy with that. Alexander from, I'm guessing, Switzerland says the Trump statement about Obama and Iran, the Trump having good instincts in general. He knows this war is poison for his legacy. He's simply powerless. It is going to be poison for his legacy. It is funny to see. I saw a mashup last night. It was BB saying Iraq 100% has weapons of mass destruction, blah, blah, blah. And then it was a clip of Trump on his campaign trail going, they lied. They killed 1 million people and they lied. And now, like, what's going on now? So, as I said back before Trump was elected, I said the Trump administration is going to be crazy, and it's either going to be brilliant or catastrophic, not in between. It's not, there's no, Trump is, you know how I said there's no evil people, there's just people that reflect their environment. Trump is the nth degree of a reflection of American businessmen who grew up in the 80s. He's the nth degree of an American businessman who worked in New York during the time when it was mob, mafia, crazy, dodgy deals, flexing, bullshitting, lying your way through things. That's just him. I don't hold it against him. It's just a reflection of your environment. And I'm a reflection of my environment, as per you and as per people involved in this are. And that is the thing, is he's a reflection of extreme America. So when people ask me, because I've spent, about all up probably 9 months in America, which I know isn't very long, but when people ask me what's the difference between Australia and America, I go, all Australians, even left and right, we tend to be sort of on this arc together, and we go, up and down. But realistically, if you go from Adelaide to Melbourne to Sydney to Perth, we are all fairly similar. Like, you work, oh, that's an Australian. And left and right sits around here, and we think these people are knobs, we think these people are knobs, whatever. Where America has the extremes. America has the most right wing and the most left wing and the smartest and the dumbest and the skinniest and the fattest. It just seems like America's a land of extreme. And the freedom of which America has in their system has allowed that to occur too, which is also why it is the richest. And that's why America has the richest and the poorest and the most free and the least free. As far as people from massive incarceration rates to people who are multi-billionaires on islands. And if you ask me, that Trump is just an absolute reflection of when that was probably at its most extreme in the 80s and 90s. And that's how we have to apply things, is it's going to just be big swings in things and look at what happens, not what is then said. Eden's Mind says, last thing, not to post so much, but we know Israel hasn't destroyed much air defense and missile storage, even given we have seen the brutal massive cook-offs from when Ukraine and Russia have hit missile silos. Yeah, that is true, Eden. As far as we know, there has been a lot of areas hit in Iran that have cooked off. But remember when, what are they called? The GA... what are they? The open air areas from Russia that, say, Ukraine has hit with drones, and it looks like a literal nuclear explosion. We haven't seen anything that big. So there's a lot of AD taken out, but we don't know. I think a lot of Iran storage has had collapsed entry and exits. I think there's a lot of Iranian storage that is 100 meters beneath the surface, and Israel has, with their current munitions, struck the entry and exit points that, and will continue to strike it to try and stop the Iranians from excavating that back out and getting access to a lot of those systems, and hoping that they can continue striking that entry and exit point so they can't get access to it in enough time that America then drops bombs to collapse what is underneath the ground. Nuke says the reason it feels forcible is because it is. They're being dragged in by Israel. There's a video of Netanyahu bragging about dragging the USA into war with Iran from 10 years ago. I haven't seen that, Nukes, but thank you very much for your donation. Did I miss? I think Burke says rubbing hands intensifies. That it's a meme in itself. Nigel Travers, and thanks for your donation, mate, says all the people are evil and the environment allows us to show how evil we are. All that, Nigel. No statement tonight. Okay. But do we think we'd see a statement before strikes, or we'd see strikes then statement? Maybe it'll give all his friends time to sell out of the media. Sell out of their stocks. Someone look, can you guys, is it true that we can look up what Nancy Pelosi's in share account is doing? Is that correct? Like, is that not just a TikTok thing? Sonna says, how can you know how many missiles Iran has? All we're going off is open source intelligence and things like RUSI and RAND estimation numbers, and that's the best we can do. So we don't know. No one knows. But yeah, Mr. Joseph Walsh, check IDF statement just now. Okay, I'll have a look in one sec. Studio Raynar says, will Russia require US dollar for oil? You really should get an economist on this. A war with Iran seems like economic suicide. Studio Raynar, the economist who we have on the channel, Dr. Richard Connolly, I have an email sitting in my inbox currently, and him and I are finding a time to do that talk. So, as you know, I've been working extremely hard. He's been working extremely hard as well, of course. So, yes. What did you want me to look at on the IDF? As you said, there was a statement. We've both been working very hard, but yes, I have an economist coming on to speak specifically about the impact of this. Okay? So yeah, that is happening. We're just trying to find time. And I'm doing a briefing tonight privately, so it won't be tonight. It's for my thing's for a complete other thing. Karen Walker is opening a ice cold Foster's. Thank you on the PayPal, as well as Tommy Anderson. Thank you as well, Tom. Thank you for the PayPals, guys. Someone said, look at the statement on the IDF IDF Twitter. Let me check the IDF Telegram. Oh, okay. That's maybe not what I'm looking at. I actually think I had the statement up on AMK. Yes. Is this the one you were talking about, Joe? Joseph Walsh said, check the statement. Is this the statement? The IDF has issued evacuation orders for all residents of District 18 of Tehran. They stated the attacks will be carried out on Iranian military infrastructure in the coming hours. Alan M., thank you for another donation, says, what do you think of John Mearsheimer? Well, John Mearsheimer is actually someone I'm desperately been trying to interview, and I'm trying to interview when I go to America next month, but it's not working out well. But I actually have sitting just next to my desk on just a table I've got. This is one of his books here. This is a really, really good book. And as you can see, maybe, God, I don't even know where the camera is, but I've gone through all of this annotated. Oh my God, it's like a bloke in the mirror. I don't know when my camera's looking. I've gone through all of it. I think he has some very, very good ideas. I think he's very, very intelligent. And the bits that I disagree with on him, which I've written down, the thing is, I think some things I disagree on because I don't understand it. So there's bits that I want to go, hey, I think you're wrong on this, but can you explain it more in layman's terms? And maybe I'd agree. Because I think we see in the current environment, we see a lot of people who don't understand what someone is saying, therefore hating them. And I see that a lot when I explain how something works. If I go, for instance, when myself and Dr. Connolly, who is an economist, and I ask him, is Russia's economy collapsing? And he goes, no, and blah, blah, blah is the reasons. And people go, that's propaganda. That's propaganda because I don't understand how a fiscal economy works. And you're like, no, your incompetence to understand does not then mean that someone is incorrect. But we're in a world of just propaganda, so it's difficult to know. And if you don't agree, then you're working against it. So, yeah, Mr. Mearsheimer, I think he's a great orator, great writer. And I'm going through another one of his books at the moment. That's actually one of those books that sits on the shelf behind me on this side. Is one of his books about liberalism. So I'll read that. The opening to Tragedy of Great Power Politics, the book I just showed you. there's a PDF copy floating around. Buy the book, whatever. I'd say buy the book, support authors, whatever. Even if you're not a reader of, 600 pages of geopolitics, okay, read the two chapters to read. Read his breakdown of what the difference is between realist states and liberal states, and what offensive realism is and defensive realism. Read that. That's like chapter 1. The breakdown in that of what is realism, what is liberalism, fantastic. That will change your view on many things about where states hold the more communal aspects, as well as individual rights and freedoms and states. And as far as there is no one good or bad seen in some systems, that's very interesting. And then read the chapter, I believe it's chapter number 10, that talks about can China rise peacefully? Can America even let China rise peacefully? That's really interesting too. Amir85, thank you for the donation, says, why would Iran fire a few at a time instead of one big barrage? That would be a better chance of overwhelming the air defense. So, Amir, this is something we've spoken about a lot. And I speak about this to do with Russia a lot too, is there's a few ways to think about this. That would Russia have been better off, or be better off, when they launch attacks, launching 500 missiles and 2,000 drones and overwhelming and striking everything? Or are they better off firing 100 every night? Now, it does, there are different ways of thinking here. So yes, absolutely, to overwhelm air defense all at once is definitely a way, but also to then have further wearing down of people's morale night after night does that, as well as pressuring, because night after night pressure remains a pressure both politically, economically, militarily, both strategic and tactically. So there are a few different ways of thinking about that and applying that. So yeah, what you don't want to happen in war, and this is speaking from my side of knowledge on war, is you don't want to have a peak and trough. You don't want it to do this. You don't want to have 2,000 strikes, nothing for a week, 2,000 strikes, nothing, because that will actually give a better opportunity to rebuild air defense. You'd rather just have like this constant or a linear growth of maintaining pressure. And that is what we see happen with, say, the Russian missiles and drones. It's just this constant pressure, and that pressure puts pressure on your strategic and tactical assets, but it also puts pressure politically and economically, because you say overwhelm air defense. Well, the air defense missiles are going to be in bunkers, so you'll overwhelm it for that night, but the next day they'll be able to pull out everything and use it again. Dirty the Dan says, been wondering for years, do you have an opinion on Patrick Lancaster and his work, if you wouldn't mind sharing? Hey, Dirty the Dan. Look, I appreciate anyone who does online work and publishes it and goes for it. As some people may be aware, I really don't follow that much on YouTube. I'm too busy with other things. I watched some of his stuff very early on, but that's about it. So I appreciate the donation, man, but I'm sorry if I don't have like an actual answer. Ridiculous says the usual cope is every economic indicator and statistic in the West is infallible and perfect, and every Russian or Chinese one is lies and propaganda. Well, they're very different economies, and someone did say, I asked ChatGPT if the Russian economy would be destroyed through sanctions, and it said no, and that's what I did as well, and people said it was propaganda. When I looked up and I basically went through, even if all of the oil refineries within 1,000 kilometers of Ukraine were destroyed, would it collapse? And it's like, no. So it's very, very difficult with fiscal economies are very difficult. And I had someone say to me once behind the scenes, they said, you've got two sorts of economies. You've got economies that are based on speculation, and that is R&D, speculation stocks. And then you've got economies based on what's in your fucking earth. And the thing is, you can't sanction what is in the ground. Now, I know that sounds very oversimplified, but like what people do, and what this person was saying was Italy, people often say Italy and Russia have the same GDP. Now, if you put that into purchasing power parity, that is, it blows it out of the water instantly. But this is what people say. And you go, well, no, a lot of say Italy is built on R&D, speculation, market movements, blah, 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 social stuff where at the end of the day, even if it may be the same number at the end, it's based on what is in the earth. And if you can just dig more stuff out of the earth, you can never truly, because it's not like you're going there and ripping that out of the ground. Like Russia's oil and coal, it's still in the ground. It might be selling less on the market, but it's still in the ground. Alan, have you read or watched Uram Yazoni? No, I haven't. So what is this saying? So breaking, he says in Arabic, the confrontation with the terrorist Zionist entity must be handled with force. We would never reconcile with the Zionists. Do we give the green light to take him out now, or do we let his regime collapse in front of his eyes and finish the job? So, okay, this is from obviously an Israeli page, but we will see what becomes in the next few hours. Someone did say too about Russia's access to natural resources in the Arctic. This is a huge problem with global warming. Now, I always say I don't care if global warming is caused by cyclic rates in the weather or by or man-made, as some will say. I don't care either way. For this, it doesn't matter. What we do know is the world is warming up in areas and cooling down in areas. And what we do know is within the next coming decades, a lot of Russia's north, which has been inaccessible, is about to become very accessible for oil and other minerals as well. And that is going to be unbelievable because there's trillions of dollars that sit up there. And many have spoken about that. And we do see, why then do you see that Russia and China are leaning heavily with all their might into things like icebreakers, North Sea route, bases in the Arctic? In a couple of decades' time, there's going to be trillions of dollars more available up there. And of course, as technology allows you to dig and drill in other areas, deeper or harder areas too. Donut Guard says the Grand Chessboard by this Brzezinski is another great geopolitics book. According to it, we're in the late stage endgame. Take how you will. Well, actually, I've got that actually right. Oh my God, where's my camera? Right here, Grand Chessboard. But I haven't actually read it yet. It's on my list. So anything you see horizontal is unread. Most of the vertical is read. Most of, maybe not everything. There's probably a couple I can see. Haven't, like Great Gamble hasn't been read. But yeah, the horizontal ones, that's why they're like that. So thank you, Donut Gut. Mr. Finetti. G'day, Willie. From your bro from another mother. I have cancer, colorectal, metastasis on my lungs. Although we see the Russia-Ukraine war differently, I sincerely wish us both to outlive the Trump regime. Mr. Finetti, brother, at the end of the day, I don't care about how you and I see things politically differently, because I think if you and I had a discussion, I actually think we would see things very, very much similarly. I think most people actually have very similar opinions, but their outcome may be different. I think a lot of it is, I'm a big believer in the horseshoe theory, that I believe the most on opposite ends of the spectrum is actually a lot closer than everyone back around on the horseshoe. But I wish you absolutely all the best, mate, with your treatment, your diagnosis, and I hope the best for prognosis is as long as possible. Right, I'm just going to have a quick squeeze and see. Right, nothing new. Doesn't look like there was too many strikes from those missiles that came in. Right. This page, is legitimately very, very has a great reputation, really. Like, it's biased, like absolutely has massive bias, but he has a good reputation. As said, high frequency radio chatter suggests 2 B-2 stealth bombers are currently airborne. This is defense officials say they're conducting training. Training for World War III. So we will see. But again, these are the only aircraft that can carry the Willy bomb. If you're wondering what the Willy bomb is, that is the MOP, the Mass Ordnance Penetrator. So yeah, apparently training, but we will see. B-21 can as well. Yeah, okay, yeah, sorry, yes. The B-21 Raider can also carry it, as far as we're aware. Is the B-21 Raider actually operational? That's something I don't know. Like, is it actually, like, able to conduct operations? Now, guys, remember, we have double the people in the chat than the likes. I'm looking at the likes now, and it's 1381. If you'd like, please hit the thumbs up thing. That helps us a hell of a lot. And let's pump that number up just a little bit. There we go, 1440. Thank you very much. Thumbs up costs you nothing, but it helps me a lot. It helps attract people to these streams as well. So thank you very much. Studio says, what would Eisenhower do? Mate, I have no idea what Eisenhower would do in this situation. It's such a different world. Someone says, have you seen the video of multiple strikes hitting at Israel and Tel and Navatim? Yes, I have seen that. If I see it come up on my other screens here, I will show you. What would Kamala do? Giggle and carry on? See, those B-2 bombers that are conducting training, yeah, but they conduct training for end of the world sort of scenarios. Elaine Engelgau, thank you on the PayPal. You're amazing, Elaine. I really, really appreciate this. That was what I said. The night, it's so funny that I did a video the night before this happened. I did a video on Iran, Israel, and speaking about certain things. And one of the things I said in that is maybe there's a case where you could say that in the whole Middle East, no nukes. You know, I know that's not perfect. Could that be something? So James Rowland says, have you ever heard this Brzezinski quote, Willie? I know very few of his quotes, but what is more important in world history? The T-Man or the collapse of the Soviet Empire? The agitated Muslims or the liberation of Central Europe? Yeah, it's a good mental exercise to think about as well. Did Willie cover Trump's surrender tweet? Yes, I did. I've actually got it still up on here. Tyler Will says US hegemony is collapsing, was collapsing under Biden. Trump is actively trying to save and cement it. He ran on peace through strength. The US must strengthen our something. Thank you, Tyler, for the donation. Yeah, but this is the thing, is he's also gambling too in that can backfire. I know the peace through strength idea, but I think that Trump, my whole bit on Trump is I think Trump believes the US still has, and the USD has the dominance that it did in the early 2000s. And it's a very different world. We see that evidenced by things like if BRICS move away from the US dollar, we will apply, 200% tariffs to them. And I talked with an economist about that, and he said, yeah, maybe 20 years ago that would have been catastrophic. But if BRICS completely de-dollarized and the US was like, we are smashing them with this, it would probably have more effect on the USD at this point than the BRIC coin or whatever that would be called. BRIC coin to make it sound like a shitty crypto. I might go refill my coffee in a bit. I've emptied it, but I might put some more hot water in it. Just have it watered down. Explosions heard in Tehran, Iranian air defense active in Tehran and Mashhad. So there's still air defense. Like people did say day one that Iran was completely out of AD. We know that not to be the case. Can you ask your economist friend what would a 3 months disruption for US oil do? Trump's campaign was drill, baby, drill. Yeah, I'll ask him. I've got to reply to his email at some point today. We'll set that up as soon as possible. I'm on chemotherapy next week, so hopefully before next week, him and I will have a talk. And yeah, I'll talk about all of this. We do know that if there was something in the Strait of Hormuz, we do know that the oil could easily go up to $120 a barrel. It could go to $200 a barrel, which the oil companies make hand of a fist. You know where that money's coming from, guys? You and me. IDF has expanded evacuation zone in southern Gaza. Maddie, thank you on the PayPal. Says, have a good chunk of meat on me. Listen to you on my way to work every day. Stay strong, keep at it. Thank you, Maddie, brother. Appreciate that. Tyler, thank you. Alliances in the Middle East, Pacific, and Africa, not Euro, which we have seen Trump focused first on the Middle East. He likely mentioned it to Saudi Arabia, UAE, Oman, and Jordan. Yeah, and we do know Trump has been focusing a lot on countries, especially Saudi Arabia, absolute oil giant as well. So, look, you need to know, guys, what we only see is what is public. We don't know what's happening behind closed doors. Someone says if oil hits 100, Russia wins. Well, now I know that Iran is a friend of Russia and they have a relationship, but this, what we're seeing here, this is helping Russia a lot. So let's go 1 month just to give you a better idea. We saw this down here. You know, you're talking $62 a barrel. This is Brent price. You can see 65. All of this is going to be below Russia's Russia's budget, because of course Russia's a fiscal economy. This here is helping. And remember that Russia is based their budget off an average price of $58 for the 2025 period. Now, what we look at is Urals here, which is the price that they've based that off, as far as June 16, at 60, we'll call it $67, okay? So well above that, at $10 above. So what's that, like 16% above or something? Do you think China will allow its cheap oil and Belt and Road plan to go away so easily? I think they'll have a lot of involvement. As far as are they going to have military involvement? No. Tyler says, how do you think he got $6 trillion in investments to fund them? He hates BRICS, hurt BRICS, help USD hit adversary energy, happens to be your energy ally's neighbor. Thank you for your donation, Tyler. Trump hates BRICS. He wants to hurt BRICS, help the USD. Yeah, well, he wants to keep USD hegemony. Absolutely. But you've got the other largest economies in the world who may want the opposite. Doctor says, in my opinion, it won't be a BRICS currency. It'll be something similar, akin to the SDR or Bancor proposed by Maynard Keynes and Bretton Woods in 1944. Mate, can you please go over what that is more at length, and I'll read it out. I'll just refresh everything and see what is going on. Willie explained this yesterday. If the regime in Iran survives, it's a win for Iran. Yes. I know a lot of people disagree with this, but this is sort of how these wars tend to work. If Iran survive, like Israel need to win the war, where Iran needs to just survive the war. Okay, and that's what you have with regimes like this. When you have a more conventional and you launch the war, you need to win, exploit victory rather than just survival. It may not be a BRICS currency, but a more local currency used for transaction. Right, yes, okay, that makes sense. Like in a country, Insurgency, mate, he says Iran could still make a dirty bomb. Oh, there's absolute chance of that. So this shows a Jordanian military helicopter shooting down an Iranian drone. So Jordan shooting theirs down as well. Right, legends. That coffee, that's fucked me up. I'll be back in a minute, and I'm going to refill my coffee, go to the bathroom, and I'll be back. But yeah, keep in here, hit likes, keep the chat going, because we'll lose 1,000 people in just leaving for 10 minutes. I'll be back in a sec. All right, I'm back. I had my own dirty bomb to drop. Dirty bomb Moab. That was, yeah, mop 4 protection. Right, and what have I missed? He survived. Come back sweating and all out of breath. But I've also refilled my coffee. Okay, fires can be seen in Tehran after Israeli strikes. Alan M. says, what do you think Israel wants most? To destroy Iran's nuclear sites or replace the regime? So stop backing the accents, as he says, of resistance. Okay, so yeah. So, okay, actually, this would be a good one for the chat too. If Israel had the choice of regime change or nuclear sites or dismantling in Iran, which would you think they'd go after? In my opinion, it would be nuclear sites. It is Israel want to be the only nuclear power in this area. But both. Yeah, but okay. People say both, but that's not the question. You have to pick one. It's a who would you rather question. You have to pick one. Susan Boyle or Trump. Okay, most are saying nuclear. But the problem is, this is the thing, is if you collapse the nuclear sites, regardless of the regime is going to go, then we need to adapt nuclear weapons. So it'll be a self-fulfilling prophecy. Right, so State Department is on red alert, US. I've heard that now correct me if I'm wrong on this, I've heard that there's been a call out for all US embassies in the entire Middle East for the US staff to like remain in place in the whole Middle East. A regime change does not mean a change in views. Soren, you are correct. If anything, it probably means a cementing in views towards nukes. So if there is a regime change, the regime that comes in will probably go, yeah, exactly, we need to continue on that. And this is where people have spoken about to take out Putin. And I've said, if you take out Putin, you'll end up with a more extreme regime. You'll end up with Medvedev or someone else who is further down the line. Tommy D says, I've said it before and say it again. The talk of nukes is just fear-mongering to escalate for a reason for war. Many follow your opinion there, mate. Ballistic missile movement is being recorded in Iran, so Iran is moving nuclear weapons apparently at the moment. Zelensky has left G7 early without meeting Trump as Canada drops Ukraine statement and US pushback. Zelensky's cutting his visit short. Zelensky won't be happy about the optics all being taken away from Ukraine. That is now absolutely not seen as the primary thing to support at the moment for the US and a lot of countries. You said nukes are moving. No, sorry. If I said nukes are moving, I'm wrong. If I've said that, I'm incorrect. Sorry. I meant missile launches are being moved. Willie came back. He's already better than my dad. Woof. Someone did say too, this war may give opportunity for Ukraine and the US to actually make deals too. Someone said it could be, as he referred to, as a squirrel moment in war, as far as the distraction element of, oh, hey, squirrel, you're looking over here as something happens over here, is many people are focused on this happening, and it could buffer the unpopularity of some level of concession made somewhere else. Again, I don't know, but it's an interesting theory to look at. Yeah, so oil has risen by 5% just today, which someone said yesterday, typically it's only 1 or 2% per day, I believe. Anonymous talks about releasing information on a massive false flag in the works. Maybe. Which Anonymous? Because there's also that Anonymous page on Twitter who's, I think he's Lithuanian and he's just taken the name. He's not actually anonymous. Just some knob jockey. If Willie is younger than me, who the hell did I toss in the ocean? Wow. Quite distracting squirrel we have. Well, yeah. Remember, guys, we still haven't we've got far many watchers than likers. Remember to like the podcast. Podcast stream. Okay. Israeli APCs moving in Jenin in the West Bank. Trump is oddly quiet. Well, let me know this in the chat, guys. Do you believe that we would see US strikes before an announcement or an announcement before strikes? Israeli Defense Force, they just telegrammed IAF, the Air Force, is conducting a series of strikes around Tehran. So most people are saying strikes first, yeah, or simultaneous. The Israeli Air Force is conducting preemptive strikes on Iranian ballistic missile launches. Remember, guys, if you want sort of an all-in-one, honestly, if you're not following on me on here, if you want it all-in-one to see all the footage and tweets, just go AMK mapping on Telegram, AMK underscore mapping. He's working large days, doing a great job here. TJ says, Willie, what's your favourite cut of steak? And chat, what's yours? Okay, thank you. Yeah, chat, put down what is your favourite cut of steak. So my favourite cut of steak would be bone-in ribeye. That's my favourite cut. I know some people will say others, but I love bone-in ribeye. I don't have it that often. I like, of course, Scotch fillet. It's fantastic. What else? I don't like super fatty steak either. People saying tri-tip, sirloin, New York. See, I don't like New York as much. Someone says, did Mr. Davidoff call Willie a cancer liar on Patreon? I don't know. I have no idea. I'm not on his Patreon. Strikes first. Yeah, most people saying strikes first. I don't eat much lamb at all. People saying Wagyu. How much money would you be willing to bet the US will strike tonight? Never bet what you're not afraid to lose, I guess. Finley said, just joined stream. Hope you're well. Hope you're well too, Finley. I like how someone's like, Willie's lying about his treatment with it. It's like, okay, explain the big scar on my head and me seeing an oncologist tomorrow afternoon. Like, if you want, you can come to the oncology clinic with me. You're welcome to take the chemotherapy drug for me. Someone says bone in ribeyes where it's at. Yeah. Dirty Dancers. As much as T-Dog, being Donald Trump, likes to talk, he already gave his warning when he said Iran should have agreed. I think he'll strike tweets simultaneously now. Or how long, if Trump is going to strike, how long until you think he will strike? How do you like your steak cooked? Mate, people are going to get stuck into me about this. I actually like it medium. So can someone actually tell me, did Mr. Davidov actually claim that I'm lying about my treatment? Surely not. He's not. He definitely is not that naive. Do you know Dan Smith in Adelaide? No, I don't think so. Maybe. Medium with lots of HP sauce. I can't eat HP sauce. Alonso says, I like mine still mooing. Yeah, I can't have it that. Ridiculous. You got the scar from Russian artillery, don't lie. Mate, I wish the scar on my head and the plate on my head was from something cool, because it's not cool. It's just a surgical scar. It's not it's not anything cool. Like I wish I could be like, yeah, I got grazed by a bullet. Okay, Israeli fighter jets are over the West Bank. Willie, what's your thoughts on people mentioning the USS Nimitz? Its scheduled decommission is 26. Will be a false flag. I don't think it'll be I don't think it'll be a false flag. That's too much. I think it's maybe just its last mission. It's still operable, still there. Do you miss serving? Oh, mate, absolutely I do. Yeah, I do not miss the job. I do not miss the job of being in the infantry. Trust me, I don't miss that part of it, but God, I miss hanging out. I don't have any mates that live around me anymore, really. Like, I used to go to work with 600 guys. Like, my unit was 600 good dudes every day, hang out with my best mates every day, and then we'd go out after work or we'd go out on the weekend all together. And now that my unit has been collapsed, some may be aware of that. My unit doesn't exist anymore for some reasons. And of course, a lot of them have moved on to bigger and better things. They've either gone to other units, they're in specialty units, or they're cops in other areas or whatever. And yeah, man, it sucks. Anthony said, if you were to predict this, how does it go? I don't know, man. I can't predict it at the moment, Anthony. I appreciate your question, man, but I just don't know. Personally, I think the US is going to strike. I just don't see how the US can't strike. Dude, so glad you were around last year and witnessed you dive over a wall in Gaza. Now I'm the same boat as well, but on a special drug called Molto Positivo. You're on it too, dude. Thank you, Flash of Blue. Yeah, that I went over that wall down in Sderot, which is northern side of Gaza. I took a piss behind this wall, and then missiles came in, and I dove in my own piss. That was good fun. Alan M, where are all your mates, really? Thank you, brother. I appreciate that, man. But yeah, people ask, like, if Australia went to war, I mean war proper, not little things. If Australia went to war, I wouldn't be doing this. I'd sign back up. I don't think they'd take me, but yeah. A proper war, they would. Yeet Yeet says, the best unbiased commentator, thank you for all the vids. Do you agree with no nuclear Iran? Yeah, I don't want Iran to be a nuclear power. I've stated that. I don't want Iran and the current regime, I don't want them to have nuclear weapons. But does that justify full-on war rather than trying to seek other alternatives? I guess that's up for question. But also, it's a bit rich to say you can't be a nuclear power and we'll bomb you when you're a nuclear state undeclared without any supervision of those systems. You're more valuable as a journalist than a soldier. Yeah, but I couldn't let me boys out there by themselves. I couldn't do a Davidoff and just say that I can't go and serve, but I'm healthy enough to fly planes. I'm healthy enough to fly a plane, civilian airliner full of people, but I can't go and do war, but I'll monetize these boys for millions of dollars a year. I could not do that. You can't just desert. Dirty the Dans is I felt great 11 years ago about infantry, but now with drones, unless I was defending my home, I want no part of it. What do you think? It changes the game? Dan, you're completely correct, brother. Completely. Drones has changed the infantry forever. And that's what I mean. If it was a proper war, if it was like a defense of Australia war, absolutely. But yeah, drones changed the game. And Yeet says, thanks for the answer. You're the man. Thank you. Right, I'm still waiting on further updates, seeing if anything will come through. Remember that we will see, it sort of comes in peaks and troughs. Like we get nothing and then we get everything. Then we get nothing, then we get everything. Israeli Air Force has shot down a drone near Masada. What have I got? What's vibrating? Brendan White, thank you on the PayPal, brother. Making millions? Yeah, 100% millions, yes. Igor Lukyan says, hello from Ukraine. What did I miss? You've missed a little bit of fireworks, but not too much, mate. But what we are basically waiting on is we are waiting to see if America strike Iran. That's the biggest thing at the moment. And it does look from some of the tweets that Trump is making, such as this, it's looking like it's gearing up for it. Willie, have a look at the huge explosion on open source Intel, okay? Give me 1 second. Let me have a squiz. I can't find the explosion. Oh, sorry, I'm on the wrong one. Excuse me. Situation in Tehran right now. I'm guessing this is the footage you're talking about. We're also yet to see specialized drones. We have modified drones. Imagine built-in machine guns. What we are yet to see is drones being able to work in swarms too. That will just be insane. Fuel fire? Could be. I'm not sure. I wouldn't know what I'd be specifically looking for. Willie, when is the next drone update? Sorry, oh my God, I'm reading two messages. Willie, when's the next Ukraine update? Look, I was going to do one today. I still may. I've got a private thing on at 6 o'clock tonight that I'm presenting for. If I can finish this at some point, if things go slow and then move on to that, then yes, I will do a Ukraine update today, but it's going to be more difficult. Harry Cook, thank you for the donation, brother. Yeah, the hills behind Tehran, this is what we're looking at. So we're looking over Tehran into the hills, and there's more footage AMK just shared. It will probably be up in a few minutes on his Twitter of this. Yeah, just wait. We'll refresh in a few minutes. We'll see that. Oh. German Chancellor Merz has said Israel is doing the dirty work for all of us. Could that be a small tactical nuke? Nah, that's just something burning, man. So 5G Trevor says, you may see drones fly in concert in open space. Doing that in the battlefield is different prospect. Yeah, as far as drone swarms, we know we've seen swarms, for events and whatever, but as far as actually working in a closed battle space, we haven't seen that yet. But it's coming. We know that. Sona says, do Iran Shaheeds have a role in this war? Yes, but they haven't seemed to be very successful yet. I don't think any have actually really got through. Iron Dome and other things can definitely shoot those down. So no, and a lot of people are saying that due to this war that Russia won't have any Shahed Garan drones, which is incorrect. As I've said, Iran doesn't produce the drones that Russia is using. Russia produces that. They merely bought the licensing and plans to build them. Corporal Sun said, I missed the Ukraine update. Feels more important now than ever. Yeah, but I can only work so many hours in the day, man. Daniel said, have you seen the reports coming in that Archduke Franz Ferdinand shot dead in Sarajevo? But this, and I've said this, I have said that it feels like people, I'm in a bit of a disagreement here with some people, but I think we're all on the same path, but we're just feeling different, I've said the world at the moment feels very similar with those and the power vacuums that are taking place and the allies that are taking place. It feels very pre-World War One. It feels like all we need is a Franz Ferdinand moment and everything pops off and goes to shit. Where others will say it feels like we're more pre-World War Two, at least in Europe. So, but either way, the point that people who say that, me or them, are trying to make is that it feels like that we are one tick away from massive war together. So people saying World War One for sure. Some are saying World War Two. The reason a lot are saying World War Two is there's this Cold War, end of Cold War sentiment in Russia about they believe, like the Germans out of World War One, with the Treaty of Versailles, and this feeling of getting ripped off out of that and unfairness, and therefore, revisionist statements start taking place, etc. And many are saying that's how Russia feels in Europe currently, and many other area. But as WMW says, it's a powder keg, which is true. Chris Elliott says, your thoughts on foreign lobby groups like AIPAC? I don't think foreign lobby groups should have any, shouldn't exist in the US. That itself is such a conflict. If you had something like that in business, if you had a lobby group from another business in your board, you wouldn't have it. As well as, I have swung around onto the idea that no politician should have dual citizenship. It says Trump threatened to kill the Ayatollah of Iran. I haven't seen that. Did he say that? Alan says it's not a foreign lobby. Your thoughts on Avi Yemeni as a reporter? Avi's a really lovely guy. The problem is, as soon as you have your religion, your family, everything involved in here, you will be biased towards things. So he may be far more biased on this than what he is for, like, what's it called? Culture wars style stuff. I think for culture war stuff, he's really good. But on this, as much as I love Avi, I think he will have resistance to criticize too. So, he did. So, Supreme Leader was hiding. We are going to take him out. We're not going to take him out, kill, at least not for now. So that's enough. Yeah, that counts as a threat. So, IRGC issues a warning. It's saying it's carrying out more missile strikes soon into Tel Aviv. Willie, look at Department of Defense statement just now about Greenland by America. Okay, Department of Defense. I'm guessing that's on their Twitter. Is it DOD? No, maybe it's... Department of Defense. Release. Is this what it is? Order to change the Unified Command Plan, shifts Greenland from US, European Command Area of Responsibility, to the US Northern Command of Responsibility. Okay, so the change in responsibility of who the unified for Greenland, okay. Consistent with the President's intent and the interim National Defence Strategic Guidance, this change will strengthen the joint forces' ability to defend the US homeland, contributing to a more robust defence of the Western Hemisphere and deepening relationships with Arctic allies and partners. As required by Congress, the Department of Defence reviews every UCP every 2 years and is needed to ensure that each combat command is properly structured and has the right resources to carry out assigned missions and protect the US interest around the world. Okay, so it's just changing whose area of responsibility is. That's nothing too major, but I think a lot of people don't understand why strategically it makes sense. Now, I'm not saying that America can have Greenland. That's not how things work. But strategically, I'll show you something. You get it. So let me zoom in on this. This is a shit quality, but this will do. You see, like, this is the Arctic Circle. Of course, you've got America, a little slice of Alaska. You've got all this of then Russia, and then this area of Greenland. It makes sense that America want more control into the Arctic Circle, as I have, as I pointed out earlier in this video, around the amount of resources that are going to become available in the Arctic Circle due to weather changes. Someone says oil is heading higher. Okay, let's have a look. So yeah, it's still lower than it was earlier today. But yeah, oil is, over the last week, is trending up, of course. Trending up this month, 21.5%. Silver hit a 13-year high. Israeli sources report a swarm of drones has been launched from Iran. The ones that will survive will reach Israeli airspace in 6 to 7 hours. So 6 or 7 hours, we'll see drone strike or drones into, well, we may not even see them into Israel, but there is drones on the way. Canada's a lot bigger than people realize. Yeah, absolutely. It is funny to see guys like Dave Smith come out and be like apologizing to their audiences for voting for Trump. I'll check on Twitter now. Has Tucker released anything else about what Trump said about him? Studio Rainer, thank you, who said, World War I, the markets and quality of life broadly is pretty good. The war will start when nukes lose their deterrence, probably in 30 years. Germany will start it. They always have to start it, yeah. For some reason, they always have to start it. But I don't think nukes will ever lose their deterrence. Their offensive capability always grows faster than defensive. No, he's only still released that podcast with Steve Bannon. So remember, guys, if there's anything you want me to look at, please just let me know. Reports of Israeli airstrikes in District 18, that's the industrial district. Sorry, I'm just trying to find if there's anything else. Just looking through some other pages at the moment. I'll get it for you as soon as we go. But while we're waiting to see if anything comes through, how's your day going, guys? Middle of the week. It's Wednesday. What's always good. Let me know how your week's going and what's on for the rest of the week. Maybe Trump will announce attacks on Iran as a special military operation and not call it a war. Well, it would actually fall, as far as I'm aware, the classification would be a military operation and not war. Leg day at the gym today. Fucking good luck. Rest in peace. Just waiting for apocalypse while chilling. Iran's getting hit very hard, yes. You never know. You never know exactly what these strikes are too, guys. Like I've been stating, is if B-2 bombers are dropping bombs, the whole point of those aircraft is that you don't know. Do you really think they're going to be flying with transponders on? I'm just going to have a quick look. I want to see if the deep state map update has come through. I believe that it has. So what are we looking at here? Russia advanced in Yanakivka, Murny, and Zoroya. Okay. So let's have a quick look and see. Okay, so this is up in Sumy. So this is Yanakivka area, but realistically, this map, I believe, looks fairly different from here, even from some geos. Mr. Rana says, what do you make of demographic accuracy for military projections? Personally, given the incompetence of the UN and government officials. Demographic accuracy for military projections. I'm not really sure what you're getting. You're meaning like how many people could actually be called up in war? Yeah, I think it's massively overestimated. Massively. And a lot of the UN, if one thing we have seen over the war in Ukraine or the war in the Middle East, if one thing that's shown us is that the UN just has absolutely no power and is not willing to enforce anything and can't enforce it. This is Zoroya, Romanivka area, just moving on this eastern side of Pokrovsk as well as Manilivka. This isn't new. There's geolocations all the way through here from a month ago. But still showing advancements here. Just that grinding way of war. So Stuart Brenner says, like the idea that Ukraine will lose, we know the demographics or any other country. Demographics play a huge factor, not only in the ability to mobilize forces, but the ability to soften your post-war attrition as well. Remember, attritional war can lead into attrition after the war too. As far as aging populations, low fertility rates is the worst thing to have after a war of attrition, as well as a war of mass emigration as well. So people leaving, it's not great. And the longer it goes on, the worse it becomes. Although you can see sometimes following war a massive boom of babies too. All right, let me keep having a squiz. Okay, AMK mapping is now confirming that movement we saw Yambalinivka in Sumy. AMK is confirming that now as well. Willie, do you know which map the Military Summary Channel uses for Russia-Ukraine? I believe it's his own map. I think he makes his own maps. I could be wrong. Or does he use the Russian MOD map, maybe? I don't know. So these pages say Fidel is calling. This, of course, I think this is a massive ordnance penetrator. You can see just the size of this bloody thing. You're not slinging that under the wings of an F-15. Willie, no interest in going boots on the ground in the Middle East? For like me going there? Nah, it doesn't work for me at the moment, not with my treatment schedule. So people are saying that it was hit, the missile production complex was hit in Tehran. Alan says, is anti-Semitism as big of a problem as the media claims? Look, I don't know. I'm not Jewish. I don't feel any anti-Semitism. And Australia, I've seen very little of any actual anti-Semitism in Australia. America may be very different. But again, it's an experience of which I wouldn't have either. But I will say that I think the threshold for what is now considered anti-Semitism is ridiculous. At the end of the day, criticism is not sexist or racist or anti-Semitic or xenophobic. Criticism is not that. Fair criticism, like if you say, hey, look, I don't think these strikes that are bombing these, a strike on a camp, on a refugee camp, hey, I'm critical of that. And then someone says that's anti-Semitic. That's not anti-Semitic. That's not. Criticism is not. It's not any of that. And if I said along the lines of, hey, look, this certain community has a real problem with alcohol and domestic violence, that's not racist. And if you can back it up with statistics, and if that backs you, it's not racist. It's criticism. Kurosawa says, "Oh, so you're not an English major? What are you then? Anti-arithmetic?" Yeah. Remember that about the you haven't been to university, you haven't done this, but it's like, brother. And I said this in my video. I said, like, I think anyone should be able to comment on this, but like, I'm like, Douglas, you're an English. You've got a Bachelor of English, mate. It's not like you've joined the military. Mooseman says, "Don't you know, Willie, the truth is racist." This gentleman says, Escani says, "Willie fighting the good fight and trying to explain nuance to the internet. Good luck, brother." Yeah, true, mate. Michelle from Fubar, buy Farmers Union iced coffee, Balfour's pie, and a frog in the pond. Thank you, Michelle. I really, really appreciate that, man. One of my friends writes in one of the chats, there's a very large amount of genuine anti-Semitism in Western Europe, but it's mostly from Muslim populations, maybe 5% from maybe Catholic far right, and the remainder is spread over the rest of the population. He says very rough ballpark figures, but that's how I see it. Mr. Finetti says, Quisling, a World War II term for a traitor, especially one who collaborates with an enemy, Willie. You're aware of being educated, but unthought through. So Quisling, one who collaborates with an enemy, Willie, you're aware of my God, it needs a comma in here somewhere. Quisling is a World War II term for a traitor, especially one who collaborates with an enemy. Willie would be aware of being educated, but an unthought through piece. Okay. B-2 bombers in the air. Yeah, apparently it's a training exercise, from what I've heard. But we'll continue to monitor it and see. Like I've said, guys, the B2s, the whole point is that you're not knowing where they are. Oh my God, I'm still waking up a bit. Let's see if Trump has made any tweets. Alan says, can you do a who are you rooting for poll? I don't want to just divide everyone. I hope that we're rooting for just no more war. Much love from the UK. Thank you, Luke Newman. Where are the Su-57s? I'd be very surprised if we see a Su-57 pop up in this conflict. Imagine that. could Israelis modify F-15E to possibly carry GBU-57? Max payload is at 30,000 pounds or 13 tons. I don't know. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy Frank Armadillo. I'm going to copy your question and I'm going to put that into ChatGPT and I'll give you an answer. Well, it'll give us some level answer on that, but I'm going to go with probably not, because that's a massive. If they were to Frankenstein up something to drop GBUs, the 57s, I think they would more use a C-130 and drop it out the back. Oh shit! It's just corrected your grammar. No. I've copied it in wrong. I know it's not accurate, but it's going to be more accurate than I. Because I have no idea. I don't know what the weight of a GBU-57 is, but I think it would be more out of the back of a C-130. Someone says you missed Willie talking shit. I don't know what's going on. Right. So what they've done is I'm just looking in the chat. Someone says B2 just flew over my house. That's cool. Right, I'm still reading as we go. Herc's too slow. Scotty Griffin says, how are you going today? I'm good, thank you, man. Hope you're well. Right. So it says a short answer is no. The F-15EX cannot realistically carry a mob without extensive redesign. It itself is 30,000 pounds. It's more than the max payload. So even if weapons and fuel were stripped, it couldn't lift it. The MOP is also 6.2 meters long, and it requires internal carriage or specialized pylons. The B2 Spirit is certified to carry. Although the F-15 is very capable, it's not designed for super heavy bunker busting ordnance. So, no. Mr. Rayner says, for World War III, the first target for Germany will be immigrants. The Germans will break up the minorities. EU step, really bleak future. I don't know, but if you're asking me about the future of the EU, I think it is pretty bleak, to be honest. Let's see if Trump has then tweeted anything. People talked about the Doomsday plane. That is the White House sort of plane, isn't it? Is that right? Someone says B2 is being used right now. Again, we'll wait and see. I haven't seen anything else confirming that. Yeah. Yeah, the distance between the ground and the F-15's fuselage just wouldn't be enough either. How many B-2s do they have? I actually don't know how many B-2s America has. A few at $1 billion a pop. It is an unbelievable feat of engineering, though. Unbelievable feat of engineering a plane like that. Did the Ayatollah tweet anything from his basement? This the usual stuff. Oh, sorry, I was meant to click on that. There are 20, but 6 flight worthy. There's 20 B-2s. Probably 4 airworthy given at a time. Yeah, a lot. You need to remember that is like very normal for air forces to have a lot of aircraft that are not airworthy, because they go through a hell of a lot of work. They're like a Formula One car, you know. They need a lot of maintenance all the time. And you look at the flight, how expensive it is per flight hour. It's crazy. So let me Google cost per hour of a B-2 Spirit. Costs approximately $135,000 USD per hour. I'd think it'd be more than that. But you're talking $2.13 billion per aircraft. Okay, so $135,000 per hour was in 2010. So it's probably double that now. Jurth Vander, oh my God, I can't pronounce your last name. It says, having a whiskey for you. Hope you're doing all right. Thank you, mate. How many litres does a jet burn per 100 kilometres? I'd say a lot, but they don't do it in litres. They do it in weight. They'll say like it'd be a tonne per whatever. So there's currently drones heading into Ukraine at the moment. Russian drones, obviously. Oh, it's bloody freezing cold. My God. What is a MOP? It's a mass ordnance penetrator. It's what America would have to use to break into some of the bunkers in Iran. Where's your beanie? Oh no, I need to put on a beanie. Cold in southwest Victoria. Yeah, I bet, man. Yeah, someone says the Tu-160 is marvel of engineering too. Tu-160, basically an analog of B1. But like, and I've said that before, I love, like my favorite planes are those Cold War era multiple engine bombers, whether you're talking F-111, through to your TU, through to your B-1 sort of aircraft. They're just powerhouses, like muscle cars of war. I know that they're becoming more and more obsolete, but they're still cool. MiG-29, I still think is the best looking plane. And of course, we've seen the F-14s and the last operational F-14s potentially destroyed in Iran. I think everyone loves F-14s. Studio says, do you think the Germans, led by the Turkish, would fall for a British trap of sending Germany to fight Russia? Turks are good at war. Mr. Rayner, I honestly have no idea. I think we're a long way from something like that. Harry Lyon asks, has the US entered the conflict? No. Well, yes. It depends. The US is refueling aircraft. They are shooting down bits and pieces. But as far as if they're dropping bombs on Iran, at this point in time, we think not. But we do know that if Maverick is flying an F-14, it can hit a Generation 5 aircraft. Nudge Unit says SR-71's hard to beat for coolness. Yeah, you got to remember that planes like the SR-71, the B-2 Spirit, these were drawn on like drafting tables. It's not like now where it's AI and computers and shit like that. No, these were dudes hand drawing, engineering this shit. That's insane. Flash of Blue brings up about the F-111. Honestly, with the success that we have seen, the fighter bomber of the Su-34 have with glide bombs, I'm telling you, bring back the F-111. Because I can't think of, is there any other fighter bombers in service? Tornadoes? I don't know if they're in service anymore. But the most successful aircraft that Russia has had is Su-34. What is a bit of a one-off aircraft, really, being a fighter and a bomber. So, Middle East Spectator has said Israel struck the Khajur facility near Tehran. Same facility Israel targeted in 2024 in October. Middle East Spectator, they claim it's out of control. Sorry. No, they claim that it's out of use. They only destroyed, they're claiming it only destroyed the above ground facilities. Otherwise, I'm not sure. Right, what have we been live? 2.5 hours. Flying tank, Warthog. Nah, I think the Warthog is super overrated. Alan says, will Israel use a tactical nuke to strike bunkers? I don't believe so. Because if Israel, this is the thing, is if Israel do use any sort of nuclear weapon like that, is also then publicly acknowledging the existence of their nuclear arsenal. Now, I know we all know that Israel has bombs, but publicly they haven't actually accepted that they do. So if they use anything, they will too. And Glow in the Dark does make a good point about tactical nuke doesn't exist. There's only strategic weapons. It would change a lot. It says US developed nukes you could fire from mortars and field guns in the 50s. Yeah, they're like field nuclear weapons because the Soviets and the Americans thought that nuclear weapons would become part of like the battlefield for maneuver. And there's a Soviet doctrine out there about maneuver warfare under nuclear attack from guns. So there is some doctrine apart as far as using nuclear warheads on artillery to level areas and then use maneuver armored war underneath that as well, or in the areas of which you've just flattened. But as far as that now, and what I say is like even a 1 kiloton warhead, which is nothing in comparison to what is available, although it may be used in a tactical sense, the outcome of it would be strategic and change how everyone sees it in the world. So drone alerts in the Red Sea, by the Red Sea. Okay, Trump has said nothing. Right, let me have a look. So still just monitoring, boys. I'm going to go maybe make a cup of tea. I might put on a hat because I'm absolutely freezing my ass off. I'll be back in just give us a couple minutes and I'll be back, lads. Shit, almost missed some super chats. Just wait, you're about to see my video come up and I'm going to look like a beacon. Wait. Look at that. Right, son of... Did I miss... If I missed any more, I'm... apology. Son of Leviathan says, every EU country seems to be on the brink of political collapse, always collapsed. I bet that Ukrainians will turn to the EU. EU elites will brag that Ukraine lives worth less. Why not loot the rich West? Mate, I don't know how things are going to go. I don't think we can say he's collapsed, but I think the EU system is weakening. And I think some of the foundations that it was built on are starting to be pulled away. Mandul Batkui says, let's surprise Willie with likes me returns. Put the thumbs up. Okay, thank you, Mandul. Oh, okay, now I feel warmer. That's better. I left my tea bag in. Right, let me refresh everything I've got and see. More strikes at the international airport in southwestern Iran. Right, so Iran's Tabriz missile base. Oh, sorry, I haven't got this on. How do I? There we go. So Tabriz missile base. Not much damage to this area, but of course massive damage to the remainder. And you can see probably some carcasses left of missiles here. But as far as if anything is underground in here, it appears to have very little damage. Like what we'd expect if this is an underground missile facility would be massive holes in the earth too. So huge damage, but not like just remember the images of the Russian ammo depots that were hit. A bit cold there, Willie. Cold up in Queensland as well. Yeah, man, it's absolutely freezing. And my house is, the house I live in's bloody freezing all the time. It's currently 12 degrees. They're hunting the launches. Oh, yeah, we know that. Absolutely. And that's the thing is, if you don't have the launches, you can have all the missiles you want. So... Ridiculous said, if a small nuke was used, how would we know? Everyone would spin their propaganda. I heard some theories that TAC nukes were used in Iraq and covered up. Look, I haven't ever heard that theory. Again, I don't know. I don't know how we would know or not. But you've got to remember that there's a lot of very sensitive equipment too that can pick up any radiation. But again, I don't know how much radiation a small bunker buster nuclear warhead would actually realistically make too. So I don't know. Ted Postel said there was only 20 mass ordnance penetrating bombs today. Hey, Rusty, thank you for the donation, man. I don't know how many MOP bombs America actually has. You'd think a lot more than that. That's less MOP bombs than the B-2s to carry them. Heavy says, if Iran gets backed into a corner with no off-ramp, could you see them YOLO strap nuclear material to a ballistic missile to send to Israel? I've said that. I've said that not only about this war, I said that 2-3 years ago about the war in Europe. And I've said, if someone gets backed into an absolute corner and there's no way out, we could see anything happen like dirty bombs. And we spoke about the reality of something like that occurring. Absolutely. I think, Heavy, though, it would be more realistic to see them YOLO a shitload of Shahed drones into oil areas over the Middle East. I think that's more likely rather than some sort of dirty bomb. I think it's more likely they YOLO their own oil facilities, and then they go, right, Oman, Saudi, blah, blah, blah. These oil facilities are absolutely, unprotected, realistically. Shitload of drones and light up the fires and watch the world burn from oil. David said, so sad we buried our F-111s. Yeah, I know, dude. $12 degrees is 53 F, so that's not cold. It's cold for an Australian, mate. 53 Fahrenheit is cold for an Aussie. Someone says check Trump's social. What is he on about with flag poles? Let me have a look. I'm just going to use X because there's pages that repost. Let me look. Trump. Truth. Trump's post from Truth Social. So he's truthed out. FBI has asked spy agencies to destroy intelligence on alleged China plot to aid Joe Biden in the 2020 election. So we're back to this again. God. I can't find the one about the flagpoles. What did he write about flagpoles? So Trump says, I have not reached out to Iran for peace talks in any way, shape or form. This is highly fabricated fake news. If they want to talk, they know how to reach me. They should have taken the deal when it was on the table. Would have saved a lot of lives. So JD Vance, a few hours ago, Lancer says when, sorry mate, when Ukraine map analysis, really big movements. Mate, look, I'm going to do an hour or so more of streaming, I believe, maybe. I'll do a little bit more streaming, and then I'm going to try and do a Ukraine update today, bro. But I'm fucking busy at the moment. And as I said, I've got a thing tonight that I need to speak on as well. Okay, here we go. Sounds like structure about to happen. Okay, here we go. Trump, it is my great honor to announce that I will be putting up 2 beautiful, beautiful flagpoles on both sides of the White House. North and South lawns. It is a gift from me of something which was always missing from that magnificent place. The digging and placement of the poles will begin at 7:30 a.m. tomorrow. Flags will be raised approximately 11 a.m. These are the most magnificent poles made. They are tall, tapered, rust-proof, rope inside the pole, and of the highest quality. Hopefully, they will proudly stand at both sides of the White House for many. What the fuck is he? What? Yeah, like you're a multi-billionaire, man. Like I'm. Okay, sure. AMK asks you to check his DMs. Right, give us a minute. Perfect. Thank you, AMK. Okay. This page just reposts everything that he says off truth on Telegram. The flagpoles. You know what we need? We need Shane Gillis to just read all of these. Well, it's not exactly the update we were looking for. What's that? What's that? What's the application thing where people? It's like Patreon, but they write up like analysis. What is it? Like a lot of like analysts use it to write up stories. Someone will tell me in the chat, I'm sure. Substack. Sorry, I was writing back to someone. About oh my god, my memory is absolutely shattered today, guys. Love me a big tapered pole. Right. Oil is holding flat on the way back down. Now let's look at what Mr. J.D. Vance has said. Look, I'm seeing this from the inside, and I'm admittedly biased towards our president, my friend. But there's a lot of crazy stuff on social media, and I wanted to address some things directly on the Iran issue. Firstly, POTUS has been amazingly consistent over 10 years that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Over the last few months, he encouraged his foreign policy team to reach a deal with the Iranians to accomplish this goal. The president has made clear that Iran cannot have uranium enrichment. And he said repeatedly that this would happen one of two ways, and the easy way or the other way. Thing is, enriching uranium for electricity, for power, you can have. Anyway, we'll continue. Second, I've seen a lot of confusion over the issue of civilian nuclear power and uranium enrichment. These are distinct issues. Iran could have civilian nuclear power without enrichment, but Iran rejected that. Meanwhile, they've enriched uranium far above the level necessary for any civilian purpose. They've been found in violation of their non-proliferation obligations by the IAEA, which is hardly a right-wing organisation. It's one thing to want civilian nuclear energy. It's another thing to demand sophisticated enrichment capacity. And it's still another thing to cling to enrichment while simultaneously violating basic non-proliferation obligations and enriching right to the point of weapons-grade uranium. I have yet to see a single good argument for why Iran needed to enrich uranium well above the threshold for civilian use. I've yet to see a single good argument for why Iran was justified in violating its non-proliferation obligations. I've yet to see a single good pushback against the IAEA's findings. Meanwhile, the president has shown remarkable restraint in keeping our military's focus on protecting our troops and protecting our civilians. He may decide he needs to take further action to end uranium enrichment. That decision ultimately belongs to the president, so may take further action. And of course, people are right to be worried about foreign entanglements after the last 25 years of idiotic foreign policy. And I believe the president has earned some trust on this issue. And having seen this up close and personal, I can assure you he's only interested in using the American military to accomplish the American people's goals. Whatever he does, that is his focus. So J.D. Vance, the VP, is saying they're only going to use American military to accomplish America's goals. He's saying that Tulsi Gabbard and the 18 intelligence bodies backing the opposite findings less than 8 weeks ago are lying. He says, no, I'm not saying that. First off, Tulsi's testimony was in March, and a lot has changed since then. Second, if you look at what she said then, her point was uranium enrichment is consistent with what I wrote above. But what people will point at is that, yes, but for the last 30 years, we've heard the same rhetoric. Right, I'm just going to see if there's anything else popping up, lads and ladies. So, Japanese Prime Minister Ishiba has said Iran's nuclear development must be stopped. So, he's on board. Oh, the Australian stock market will be open. I forgot to check that. Australian stock market appears to be pretty green. S&P's green. Vanguard Australia's green. Defence stocks are green. Impending war is good business, it seems. Do the Japanese have nukes? No. I believe that's part of their self-defense treaties and stuff that they signed at the end of the Second World War. This is funny. Flight radar. Air traffic looks like right now. It's where there's no one flying. These areas. So, of course, you've got Russia, Ukraine, then Middle Eastern areas. Michael Bigelow wanted to help a brother out. Help with any medical bills. I just wish I could help more. I have a major surgery 10 days ago. Take care, brother. Michael TNV. Brother, thank you so much on the PayPal. I really appreciate that. And 10 days ago after a major surgery, I hope that you're doing really well. UTIS says JD Vance should listen to Scott Ritter. He takes down the IAME's findings quite effectively. I haven't actually watched either, bro. Thank you. Someone's saying it looks like a skull. Does it? Someone says, do we need this many planes? Bro, we have 8 billion people. Look at the US. Look at the US compared to like Australia, like US and Europe, compared to like Oz. Happens when you have the 20th of the population. Well, lads, let me know what you think. Do I stay live for a bit or do I take off, make a Ukraine update over the past couple of days that we've missed and go from there? What do we think? I think that might be the go. And because I can just click back on live. If things start happening, I'm going to be on my phone and computer all day. So I'll start seeing things go down. So I'm saying stay live, do a poll. Probably catch up on Ukraine, make a Ukraine update live. Nah, it's too much to do. Wow. Whoa. Everyone's commenting now. Jesus. Okay, so I think most people are saying, to do the Ukraine update. The second you stop streaming, shit kick off. Yeah, mate, I know. It happens every time. Okay, we'll do a Pentagon pizza report. And if there's then any updates or any final donations or super chats you want read out, do them now. And then I'll get a Ukraine update together for you. Heavy said, Willie about to stop streaming. Shit's about to go down. Yeah, exactly. It was this time yesterday, or no, this time the day before, when everything came in wild. So 40 minutes ago, huge surge in traffic. The nearest Domino's at the Pentagon. Closest gay bar to the Pentagon is having a very busy night also. Although 35 minutes ago, every other one is having a slow day. Everyone's now going, instead of war with Iran, Trump's posting about flagpoles. Right, my brothers and legends. I think this is what's going to go down is I'll take off. I'm going to work for several hours and try and get a Ukraine update done. If things go wild, I'll come back. But then tonight I've got a meeting that I need to be in that I'm presenting. So it might be a busy another day for me, but we'll do what we can. Thank you guys for all the support, everything else. Really appreciate that. As per always, may not be with you live all day like yesterday, but if I leave it more than 2 or 3 days on the Ukraine updates, I just get too far behind and out of the loop. So I need to maintain that too. So, yeah. All right, boys. Thanks for everything. Appreciate it. And I'll have an update for you. And look, the odds are I'll see you live in another hour or two. Righto. Gentlemen, have a great day. Have a great Wednesday. And I will speak to you tomorrow. Okay. Bye.